Hello, it's Jane, and it's day 13 of my 40-day exploration into what it means to be tender. 13 is an important number, it's a magical number. It's like if 12 is the number of order, then 13 is the one outside of it, or the one that includes it all, like 12 months, the structure. 13 witches in a coven, that kind of thing. And it's also, today is the Spring Equinox, the day when light and dark is balanced in power, and when more and more light begins to illuminate the world, right? It's pretty amazing. So I actually had a lot of, I don't know, a lot of expectation for myself around this day. Like, it's the day when the veils between the spirit world and the normal world are very thin, and I've been a lot of things have been coming up lately around my ancestry, so I was thinking it's also kind of this meeting point of balance, a still point between the past and future. So I was really looking at, how I could maybe honor my past, and looking at the old stories that really want to die, and so that the new can come in. So I had all of these ideas, and so the card I picked was this Una. It says easy does it. I could hear this one every day, I think. There's no need to hurry or force things to happen. Everything is occurring in perfect timing. And my other theme for today was freedom. Like, what does freedom actually mean to me, and what might hinder it? And it's kind of looking at the difference between freedom, the freedom to just do whatever I want, versus the freedom to true freedom, which is to be able to respond and feel a certain way no matter what the circumstances are. Oh, and I also noticed that in a lot of my videos, I am saying things like, oh, I had more insights, but maybe I'll tell them later, or, there's more, there's more. And so today, I thought I would just kind of let it go more, and reveal more my thought processes, so you can see inside my crazy brain. And okay, so one of the things is about tenderness. I took a walk today, and it's snowing here on the East Coast on the first day of spring, but I noticed these blossoms, these beautiful blossoms, and just what a great example, right, of tenderness being the strongest thing. Like, there's snow on top of them, and they're just still, the scent is pervading the whole room. So yesterday, when I was struggling with figuring out how to enjoy my day, one of the things I ended up doing was watching this anime called Avatar: The Last Airbender. I had been introduced to it by two people that I respect and admire. They were both really excited about it. So yesterday I thought, okay, I have time right now. I can't think of anything else to do. Let's watch this. And it's for children, kind of. So at first I was like, but then very quickly I kind of really appreciated it, because it talks about the characters have the ability to manipulate elements. So the airbender, there's water benders and earth benders, and airbender, a bender meaning that you're able to manipulate that element. So you can, like, if you're a firebender, you can send fireballs through your hands and such like that. And I love this idea because that's true, right? I mean, we don't need weapons. We don't even need words. It's like something like more than 80% of communication is body language. It's we have all of the power of the elements within us. If we could just learn to manipulate them with skill. I mean, even weapons and such, they actually come from us, right? We imagine them in our mind, and then we create them with form. But what if we just did away with that external form part and just did it with through our bodies? Also, one idea that's prevalent in there is the Avatar, this kind of the awakened one that's going to save the world. He is in the form of a little boy, a 12-year-old boy, and it just highlights the fact that, again, this thing about being tender, and who is strong is actually who appears to be weakest. Like the meek shall inherit the earth. To enter the kingdom, one must be as a child. It is innocence and amusement and that kind of like carefree fearlessness that is actually, I think, the closest to the divine. It's like if you look at flowers, right? God wasn't like, oh, I'm not sure if this is a perfect flower. Let me try this one. I don't think that's right. He didn't just stop at a few. He just made like thousands upon thousands, and they're all different, and they're all equally beautiful in the source's eyes. So, yeah, to be bold and to experiment and to be like a child. So, another thing that was interesting is that very same day, I was in Indian dance class, and it's called, the type of dance I'm learning is called Kuchipudi, and in it, there's, I like it because it's storytelling through dance and poetry and music, and incorporates hand gestures a lot and eyes. And like one of the, like for instance, one of the expressions is this hand closed represents the soul. It's like a bud, and this represents its opening. But not only that, it represents that we're always learning and ever changing. It's like a continuous flowering, and that this is the truth. Life is always changing. There's no constant except that. And in it, the teacher, my teacher, was telling me to, when you make the movements, that to make them very defined, like the movements, the dance can be very fast. It's percussive. But she said what makes it beautiful is not that it's fast, it's that it's the space between the movements. It's showing the stillness in the movement. And I love that. It's like seeing the eternity, right, within the change and within the evolution. And so she was saying, in order to have that effect, you need to make the movements very precise. And one of the things she said is, when you're doing the hand movements, to like when you're extending your arm and such, to make it that you're feeling the energy go all the way to your fingertips. And yeah, I could feel the difference with that, and how I don't usually move that way, you know. And it's a lot like martial arts. And that was the other piece that came in, that the teachers think about adding martial arts to the dance repertoire, because martial arts has this way of directing energy that's a little bit different from yoga or most dance. It's actually kind of using the dynamic force within you and directing it very intentionally. And I love that idea, because I used to do kung fu and Hapkido, and I really loved it. I loved the beauty of it because I saw it as a dance, but I wanted to kind of practice something more feminine and a little more fluid. I didn't like sparring and all that. So this is wonderful to have the martial arts in the dance. Okay, let me look at my notes. And apparently I didn't know this, but dance in German is the same word for tension, which speaks again to that beautiful in-between place between stillness and movement, between the infinite and the changing truth. Okay, this is going in another direction, but so Sanskrit, in Sanskrit, apparently the word for luminous, there was a word that actually meant luminous in Sanskrit, but over the years it's been translated to mean fair, as in fair of skin. And this is horrible to me. I mean, it's just like so many other things happening in the world, like people all over the world bleaching their skin, and you know, in Korea, they do all kinds of plastic surgery on their eyes, to make them more like Caucasian eyes, and they're never going to be that, so it's weird. And all the boob jobs going on everywhere, and just yeah. But it reminded me that I was listening to the radio the other day, and I heard that on Twitter they did this survey, and that out of all of the states in the United States, that Baltimore, so I guess this one was all the cities, that Baltimore ranked number one in racial slurs on Twitter. And Baltimore, of course, is also where a lot of the incidents of police brutality have happened. And I was born in Baltimore. And then it said that Maryland was, I think, the top 3 of all states in derogatory statements about women and misogynistic comments. So I thought, and that really surprised me. I mean, it doesn't matter where it is. It's sad for it to be anywhere. But the fact that Maryland, I mean, I didn't think Maryland was particularly misogynistic, and it just, I just found it interesting that I happen to be residing here right now. And I've been looking deeply at a lot of ancestral patterns, and just that, it's not ancestral only in terms of my family relations. It's ancestral in terms of like, we're all one family, and we're all dealing with the repercussions of all the suffering and all the infliction of suffering that has happened. And so thinking of it as tension or as a dance, like in some ways it makes no sense to me that I would be here. Like, I want to be in a more progressive place, but on the other hand, it makes perfect sense that I am here. So to honor it in that way, instead of just being disgusted and angry. So last night was an interesting and difficult night for me. After I watched this kind of Avatar series for a very short while, I realized there was a lot coming up for me, and I just wanted to meditate. And then I was kind of in this like half sleep, half meditation state for a very long time, and I could just feel like all of this deconstruction was happening. Like, I don't even know exactly how to describe it. But the day after, I was kind of, when I was trying to kind of grasp what had happened, because I was definitely conscious, and when I was trying to kind of describe what happened, it reminded me of when they say, like the butterfly, when the worm or the caterpillar starts to kind of disintegrate, it's like not fully a butterfly yet, but it's not a caterpillar anymore, and there's that in-between state. That's kind of what it felt like. Yeah. And so, but one thing that did come up very clearly was, I kept hearing the question, like, there's something, be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. So I'm thinking, okay, like, that's why I'm meditating. I'm trying to be clear and honest, like, what is it? And so then I was trying to figure it out. Like, what am I not facing? What's the shadow? And usually when something like that happens, when I get this message that I'm not being honest with myself, it's usually something that I'm doing or not doing that the ego doesn't want to change, right? It's like, be honest with yourself about, like, this relationship. This is, it's not good for you and you're kind of addicted, or, you need to change the way you're behaving and whatever. So I was kind of looking for it in those ways, like, okay, like, maybe I'm enjoying this too much, or maybe I'm not working hard enough and I need to face that. And what came to me is that I actually realized that there's this commitment, there's this desire that I've been wanting, that I've been asking for a long time, and it's actually been fulfilled. It's kind of like this opportunity, and I haven't fully accepted that my desire has come to me. It's like we're so afraid of failure, right? But oftentimes it's success that can make people suicidal. And if not suicidal literally, then